Hey, all right. I'm going to cover, I guess, my opinion on front tires, and I'm really only going to talk about 3 that I've had the opportunity to try literally in the last 30 days. So all 3 of these tires have been on my bike in the last 30 days. So this first tire here is the Geomax AT81F. And this is the tire that comes factory with the Husqvarna TE250i. I guess I should give you an idea of what kind of bike I'm riding. So TE250i, because there's plenty of power on this bike. I ride very technical woods, some rock, but I do like that woods and single track and really kind of loose rockish terrain. So the AT81F is it's an incredible tire. It's got a lot of open lug to this tire, so it's a great loose dirt, sand, and maybe even mud. Yeah, actually, great mud tire, but it's not the greatest on a lot of the rock, and especially if you got tons of granite or smooth rock, like if you went to Moab and so forth. If you're on a tight single track, really tight single track, given say Colorado area has some really tight single track. It's basically just wide enough for a rear tire of a dirt bike. So this tire will kind of try to run up the edges just a little on the single track. Again, the Geomax AT81F is what this tire is. It's a pretty wide tire. It's not a fatty, what they consider a fatty, but it's a pretty wide tire. It's about a ½ inch wider than this other Geomax 53F is what that tire is. And that's, I don't know if that's a newer tire or not, but one of our local shops, or at least a shop down in the Phoenix area, recommended that I give this tire a try. And the Geomax 53F is what that tire is. It's a good ½ inch narrower than this tire, and you can almost see it in those 2 tires. I mean, you can see that the 81F is a lot wider. So in tight, really tight, single track, this Geomax 53F is probably, it tracks a little bit more true. The problem with this tire is it doesn't have any good deep cutting in the corners. You can see that the side lugs are really close together compared to the AT81F, the factory tire that came on the Husky. And so what happens is this tire tends to oversteer you, and that's the opposite of you oversteering the bike. So understeers. So it wants to slide out toward the outer part of any kind of berm or any loose gravel and so forth. This seems to like a really tight dirt, I'd give it a tight dirt scenario and situation. So I didn't have this tire on the bike very long. For me, I'd mark this tire, the Geomax 53F. I'd mark that as one of my mostly hated tires, aside from the S12. The S12 was a tire that I never really liked, unless I was just riding nothing but sand. So for an enduro tire, I personally do not recommend the 53F. There are probably guys that are going to not like me saying that, and I get it. This is just purely an opinion. The AT81F, a far superior tire to the 53F Geomax. And okay, so the tire that I'm actually running now is it's sort of a tried and true tire. And it's narrow like the Geomax 53F, but this is the Breakstone M59. I ran this tire, God, this tire's been around forever. I've run this tire. I did a Mesquite to Ely. I've done Vegas to Reno on this tire, on this brand of tire I think I was in my 30s, late 30s, somewhere in there. And I think I did Vegas to Reno, turned around and did 2 more races on that tire, and still never changed that tire out. I love the way this tire corners and tracks. It's a little wider on the lugs. Probably not as wide as the AT81F that came factory on the bike, but it's a good cross between that AT81F and what a good enduro tire would be. It's actually a motocross tire. I believe that's really what it's designed for. And I enjoyed this actually on a motocross track as well, up in Washington State, riding a lot of the amateur stuff and the Pro-Am stuff there. What I like about this tire is it's dual lug down the center. And because I'm a heavy front brake guy in my corners, I'm not a stoppy. I don't go practice stoppies and try to nail down stoppies or anything, but I'll tell you, this is the tire to do it on if you were. Because this thing, straight into a corner, this tire has amazing stopping power. Lean the bike over a little too much and get on the brake, and you're going to wish you had the 81F if you were leaning that bike a little early. And some guys do that. I do a lot of steering with the rear, and so I stand the bike up until I hit the corner, and then I lean my bike over. So my style of riding suits this M59. It's by Breakstone, and I really like this tire. I wish it had a little bit more bite. I wish it was the half-inch wider like the AT81F. It's a narrow tire, so it steers really good on tight trail. It stays really true. I don't have any kind of fidgeting or climbing issues with it, meaning I don't have it trying to climb out of a rut or anything while I'm trying to ride it. I do have that with the 81F, but I don't experience that with this tire, and I think it's because a narrower tire, which makes this a sharper drop, a sharper edge drop, and maybe because these lugs aren't spread so far apart. But amazing braking tire and good consistency. This looks a lot like a 81F. They're pretty similar, or the AT81F. It's pretty similar in design, but the lugs are further apart on the outer edges of this, on the edging of the tire. The carcass on this tire is it's pretty soft, and I run a medium nitro mousse in front and rear on all my bikes, and I just always have done that. Yeah, they're kind of a dead feel. They don't have the same feel as a tube with air in it. So I'm not a fan of riding mousse or any kind of mousse inserts on a motocross track. I can't control the air pressure as much depending on track conditions. And so I definitely wouldn't do that on a motocross track, but any kind of enduro situation, off-road, desert, any of that, man, I'd run the mousse all day long, just with zero issues. I don't worry about whether or not it's completely seated on the bead. I've never had a tire come off. I put a lot of the mousse gel, the lube that they provide. I put quite a bit in because I don't like changing those out, and especially in the rear. The front, I just use one tube in the front, but I use a 2.5 or more in the rear because that's the tire that's really taking the pounding. So, and I think you can see some of that down inside that last tire I took off. So but there you have it. I recommend the M59 by Breakstone. If you're wanting a good all-around tire for enduro and off-road, amazing tire, soft carcass, it flexes really well. If you're an aggressive cornering guy on hard pack, you're gonna feel this tire roll just a little bit if you're running a mousse, because it just slides on that mousse, and I do feel that just a little, but I'm used to it, and I ride really forward on my bike, and I use a lot of front brakes, so I put a lot of weight on my front end when I'm trying to pivot around a corner and flick the bike through it. I do not recommend the 53F. I'm actually going to sell this for $20, and the thing's brand new. I paid a ton for it, and I'm going to get rid of it. It will never find its way into my race trailer or anything again. The AT81F, if I'm going to ride a lot of loose stuff, sand, mud, roots, things like that, I guess if I was in the Pacific Northwest, I'd probably run this a little bit more. It's got a lot of side bite. These cutters are really amazing. And you can see this tire's got almost 20 hours on it, and maybe 15, 16 hours, somewhere in there, and his tire's in amazing condition still. I really had no reason to take it off. I just convinced myself this 53F was going to be a good tire, and I was wrong, dead wrong. So, Breakstone M59, badass tire. I highly recommend it. The Geo Max 53F for enduro, dead off of that. I will never touch it again. AT81F comes stock, comes factory. I believe it even comes on the KTM. Came on my son's KTM, and I think he's still running his and loves the crap out of that thing. That thing just bites. It's a great tire. It's got good frontal stopping. Not as good as the M59, in my opinion. Carcass a little harder on that too, stiffer. So it's probably more predictable. Probably feels more predictable. Like a a good motocross tire would probably give you. But I just don't feel like. I just feel like that tire tries to climb out of the ruts and stuff. Anyway, watch the video, and if you could subscribe, I'm trying to create additional content and get as much as I can out there, and just give a different point of view. I know there's some others that have reviewed tires. I think actually the M59 came out on top as well. So I definitely don't want to steal content or anything, but I do think wherever I heard that, I think it was Jeff Slavens or something. I think he's correct. I think that's where I heard it. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.